We are back, and we are glad that you are with us. GPS to God, that is the podcast you are listening to or watching, depending on how you choose to consume it right now, today, in this moment. And we are glad that you are consuming it. We're glad you're here with us. Welcome back. And let's see. Let's go around the table. Daniel Sanders, Stefano Patterson. We have Ryan Gotro.
Yep.
And Mr. Zach Edson back with us again. So glad that you're back. You might hear some voices in the background. Looks like we got a studio audience coming in. I don't know. We'll, welcome. Glad y'all are here. And you never know what's going to happen around here, good, bad, or otherwise. So
unpredictability.
That's right. But it's always good. Maybe.
Keep you on your toes.
Maybe. Let's see. You can reach out to us. gpstogod.com is the website. You can send us a message there. You can also email us, mailroom@gpstogod.com. Send us a message on Instagram, whatever you want to do.
I was about to say that. Can they send you a DM on Instagram?
They sure can. Yeah, we'll check it. I can check it right now. Let's see if we got one. I'm going to tell you.
Crickets on there. No. Crickets on there, I bet.
No, we don't. So
we don't.
All right. But you can. I will check it. People have before, so it does work. We are continuing in our study of Job. I mean, we're in the thick of it now. There's no turning back. We got to
halfway there, right?
We are halfway there. We're picking up in chapter 20 tonight. We have not done this before.
Is this a guarantee right here?
We will make it through chapter 25 today. Tonight, this episode.
Thought you were going to go 30.
Okay. No.
Overachiever.
Sure. Here's the thing.
It's not sure.
Chapter 20, we're going to see a big difference here in the layout of the book of Job. So through chapter 25, we're continuing with our pace, the setup that we've had going here with Job speaks, and then his friends take turns speaking. After chapter 25, it shifts, and Job gets long-winded, and he talks for, I don't know.
He gets that second gust of wind.
7, 8, 10 chapters there for a little bit. And then after that, maybe not that long, but then after that, we get a new character introduced into the story. We thought it was just Job, three schmucks, God, and Satan.
So-called friends.
Fourth gentleman.
Turns out we have a new character that's going to be introduced into the story. And I already have questions about that because I read ahead. And let me tell you, I got questions flowing because we're going to save that. That'll be
look at that teaser.
Next episode.
Talk about a plot twist.
But
sneaky.
We are going to make it through chapter 25 today. And let's give you a little sneak peek. Chapter 25, shortest chapter in the whole book. So there we go.
Spitting facts.
All right. So
I like it.
Where are we going?
Zophar
is coming back in. So Job is just giving some responses here. Bildad gave his, and hot, heated debates going on. Zophar comes back in. The title of this chapter, y'all are just getting titles for the rest of this study because
that's all it is.
I'm consumed with them. But the wicked will suffer. The wicked will suffer is the title of this chapter. And we have quite a bit of things highlighted in this one here. Verse number 4, do you not know this from old, since man was placed on earth, that the exulting of the wicked is short, and the joy of the godless but for a moment. That's a pretty heavy one right there. And that's Zophar. Zophar's coming in. The wicked are going to suffer. So Job has been talking about he is not guilty. He's innocent, even though he's being punished. His three friends have been saying, you must have done something wrong. Zophar's continuing that to say, hey, the wicked are going to suffer
for their misdeeds.
You're suffering because you've done something wrong.
Yep.
And he just has chapter 20, lots of instances, lots of arguments for his case. Let's pick it up in verse 6. Though his height mount up to the heavens and his head reach the clouds, he will perish forever like his own dung. So he's talking about wicked people.
Pretty intense
right there. And he just continues with the examples. Verse 10, his children will seek the favor of the poor. His hands give back his wealth. I don't know about that one. His children seek the favor of the poor. So that you fall so low that you have to reach out for help from the poor people. It's kind of the prodigal son, parable of the prodigal son.
With the pigs.
With the pigs, living with the pigs, wanting to eat what the pigs got to eat.
Yeah.
That's how low he had fallen. This example came before that one. Yet his food is turned in his stomach. He swallows down riches and vomits them up again. That's verse 14 and 15. I mean, he just keeps going throughout this entire chapter of talking about wicked people, and they reap what they sow. And the bad things that happen to you come because you're not following God. Verse 18, he will give back the fruit of his toil and will not swallow it down. From the profit of his trading, he will get no enjoyment. Your good deeds cannot overcome your bad deeds. Doesn't matter how hard you work, you're stuck where you are. In the fullness of his sufficiency, he will be in distress. Verse 22.
I'd say he's in distress.
So just the entire chapter, is
just over and over and over again.
There's nothing you can overcome. You are suffering these bad things because you've done something wrong. He ends it. We're going to skip ahead. Verse 27. The heavens reveal his iniquity, and the earth will rise up against him. The possessions of his house will be carried away, dragged off in the day of God's wrath. This is the wicked man's portion from God, the heritage decreed for him by God. So he ends it up by saying, all this bad stuff, all these examples, this is God's plan for the wicked. So you losing all your stuff is because you did something wrong, Job.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you, man? Turn and follow God.
To the most blameless God there is, right?
Yeah.
God-fearing man. I mean,
These are also the last arguments, so that's why we're going to make it through chapter 25 today. These are the last arguments we will hear from these three friends right here. So
they leave a mark.
They leave a mark. They don't hold back. I mean, they're trying to get their shots in while they can.
I mean, they do.
How long? What part is this? Part 6? I think this is part 6 of the Job study. Man, we're rocking right along. I think it.
5 was.
Are you really?
Five's
Is
tied.
that serious? I know I missed 2 of them because
5
y'all did
will
one
be.
in one night. So
Yeah, 5 will be tied. It
Yeah.
comes out on Monday, and this one will come out the next. Yeah.
because this will be number
so thinking
3.
8 or 9.
Yeah. We'll probably have 9. So if this is part 6, we probably got 3 more.
And we said 17. Look at us go.
Overachievers. Overachievers.
Set the bar really low
Never
so you
did.
can always
Never
overachieve.
did. Never
I
did.
do want to go on record and say, when I told Amanda that I was getting ready for this, she was like, he didn't call me to ask me. So if
That
you,
is true. I have not.
but don't call. She's not a call.
Oh,
You got a text.
I text. Yeah.
If you want a response. Get her up here.
She's going to get an invite then. If she's talking about it, she's getting an invite.
Ooh.
I'll pay for that later.
Yeah.
This episode will be 2 back, though.
At least
so
you
I'll
know
be-
you will. You got time.
You got a couple weeks to
You
run.
got time to do something.
Yeah, we'll get her in the studio before this comes out, if she agrees.
She can't tell you now.
Oh, that's funny.
Time to bring it back.
That's
Here we go,
funny.
Job.
Bring it back around. Chapter 21.
Job responds to Zophar.
Yes.
What a
Job
name,
reply.
too, by the way.
Zophar.
Zophar. I don't want to be named Zophar. That's my nickname.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a cool name. I don't.
Oh, I don't want the
far as
meaning of how he was.
As far as
but
a nickname, it doesn't really roll off the
Zophar.
tongue, though.
when I heard Zophar, I just think of like Jafar. I think of Aladdin. That's where I go. Zophar, Jafar.
Nice.
That's not a far leap there. I get
No.
it.
Yeah.
That's not.
Sorry,
Yeah.
completely random.
Job replies.
He was
much,
good at Duck Duck.
Much keeping to the same pattern here. Job replies that same pattern we've had the last many chapters. It seems like Job
Past
replies. He keeps on. Keep listening to my words and let this be your comfort. This is chapter 21. Bear with me, and I will speak. And after I have spoken, mock on. That is great. What's your say? What's your translation? Verse number 3.
3. Bear with me while I speak, then after I have spoken, you may continue mocking.
I have mock on.
On the same.
Yeah.
Mock on. So, I mean, he is had his fill, it seems like. Mock on. I'm tired of you bums over here. Keep listening to my words. Let that be your comfort. Bear with me. I'm going to speak after I've spoken. Mock on. I think it might be later in a different chapter here, but something we talked about, you brought up before on another episode we did. How long is this going on? Right. And there's evidence later. It's multiple. It ain't a short show.
No,
it's a long deal going on here.
It's not.
I was just thinking the next quote that I've got a summary that I've typed up, and it was just like, he tells his friends to look at him and lay your hand upon your mouth. So it was like, just be quiet. Like, I'm tired of, this back and forth here.
Right.
Yeah, verse number 5, lay your hand over your mouth.
Kick him out of your house for fun. Just kick him out. Go.
It is. I mean, there's just so many, just the timeline questions, which we've all talked about. It intrigues me so much about them talking, and then what did they go to sleep all mad, or I mean, it's just how that the transitions on just. I mean, throughout the whole day, like it's just said, in the morning, then they just sit there, just in silence, kind of stewing, and then, Zophar comes in, says his piece before dinner. Does Job say his before they go to sleep?
They were scheduled, technically.
I mean, I don't know just when, or is it all done in the morning and then they're just quiet for the rest of the day? I mean, I don't.
Well, and I like how it's guys, right? Because I always have this picture of you can tell me things or we can disagree, and tomorrow's a new day.
Right.
But if it was for women, they would never speak to each other again.
Especially if this is going on over multiple days.
Holding a grudge.
I think it just would have been probably chapter 2. I mean, Job would just be 2 chapters long, whatever, 2 chapters long, and then it'll be, Then they all departed.
Obviously, we don't know about this time when the book of Job happened, what the culture was really like, what the weather was like, all that kind of stuff. But in the Middle East today, people do things in the morning, the middle of the day, especially in summertime when it's so hot.
Yeah.
They kind of lay down, rest. Yeah. I mean, take a break, and then active again in the evening. So if this was the same then as it is today, I mean, they'd have breaks, and maybe one of the friends spoke in the morning time, taking all that time, and then they kind of rest in the heat of the day. And Job, hey, what you said this morning?
Back to what you
Here's
said.
What I said.
My rebuttal.
Yes.
But Zophar in chapter 20 was giving all his examples of why the wicked suffer. When you're not following God, when you're doing evil things happen to you. He was giving all those examples. Chapter 21, Job is coming back to say the wicked do prosper. People that are doing things wrong have great lives. Some of them have great lives, and they profit, even though everyone knows they're not a good person. So he goes in, let me say my words, then you guys can make all the fun you want to make. But here's how wicked people are prospering.
When I find interesting that all of them have bits and pieces of truth, right? I mean, we have a just God. You're going to be punished for your actions, but to then say, because of you did this, you're going to be punished. It's almost like the prosperity gospel, where you're not given enough, so you're not going to be rewarded, or And again, this is just their opinions, but man, I think you'd like to know who you were talking to, and
for sure.
Job gives a lot of examples now, just like Zophar did. He's countering point for point here. We're going to skip around a little bit, but start in verse 7. Why do the wicked live, reach old age, and grow in mighty power? So Job is saying the wicked do prosper and flourish. Verse 9, their houses are safe from fear, and no rod of God is upon them. That's pretty much shutting down the argument of Zophar right there.
Yep.
Verse 10, their bulls breed without fail. We're just going to skip through some of these. They spend their days in prosperity. They say to God, depart from us. We do not desire the knowledge of your ways. I mean, he is giving them point for point. Your argument is invalid. Here's why. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to skip all the way down to verse 23. One dies in his full vigor. Another dies in bitterness of soul. They lie down alike in the dust. The worms cover them. So Job is saying these guys, evil people, live full lives with no worries. But then when they die without a life, without a promise of hope in the future. But fully just combating Zophar's argument. He goes on, verse 27. This is where it kind of comes back. So he said, listen to me. You can mock me afterwards. Here's all my counterpoints to what you said. And now he kind of goes into ha-ha, told you so kind of mode here. Behold, this is verse 27. Behold, I know your thoughts and your schemes to wrong me. I know you guys are coming against me. Don't act like I don't know. You ain't slick.
You just figured that out.
Have you not asked those who travel the roads? That's verse 29. And do you not accept their testimony that the evil man is spared in the day of calamity? How then, verse 34, how then will you comfort me with empty nothings? There is nothing left of your answers but falsehood.
All you got is lies for me.
So Job is telling them pretty much, I'm smarter than you. I got it figured out. You don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
I have an answer to everything you bring up.
Yep.
But guess what? They keep bringing it up.
22.
They ain't stopping.
Yeah. Eliphaz is like, oh, yeah?
Not yet.
I have a question mark next to this first verse I'm going to read. Verse number 2, chapter 22, verse number 2. Eliphaz is coming back to speak. Can a man be profitable to God? Surely he who is wise is profitable to himself. Is he asking, how is he asking that question? That kind of question popped in my head. Can a man be profitable to God? Is he asking a real question, or is he asking like a rhetorical? Is he kind of jabbing Job back of, can a man be profitable to God? I want to read a couple verses here and then
come back to that.
Let you guys give a thought here. So verse number 2, chapter 22. Can a man be profitable to God? Surely he who is wise is profitable to himself. Is it any pleasure to the Almighty if you are in the right? Or is it any gain to him if you make your ways blameless? Is it any gain to God if you make your ways blameless? Is it for your fear of God that he reproves you and enters into judgment with you? Is not your evil abundant? So he's questioning Job in these first 5 verses. But can a man be profitable to God? And maybe I pulled that out of the story in my own mind, and I think that's a rhetorical question where he's kind of accusing God. But
I mean, for me, as soon as I just replace the word, profitable, used for his glory. And so can a man be used for his glory for God? And absolutely, right? I mean, my walk is profitable for other people to get to know him. And so I would answer that question as, yes, can a man be profitable for God or be used for him? Yes.
I don't think anyone else has anything to say. Zach just shut it down.
Yeah.
In true Job style over there.
Just going to get up and go. Yes. Can I leave now?
Pretty good
My
answer.
commentary takes it, I guess, a different way. It's like...
Oh, you got the Shanks edition over there.
No. Tony Evans. Tony Evans.
We should have asked Brandon to leave his Bible in here so we can...
know. His is, yeah. It says, I guess I understand, kinda. It says, God does not need you or me. We need him, but God is sufficient, complete within himself. He does not need anything in his created order to make him feel better about being God.
Would it almost be like God knows all, God can do all, so why would anything I do be profitable to him? Because he can do all and see all that's happening. Why would he need me?
But like Zach said, it's profitable to
but yeah,
him. Because
I agree with
leading.
that, though.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can... Can you read that again?
It says, God does not need you or me. We need him, but God is sufficient, complete within himself. He does not need anything in his created order to make him feel better about being God.
Right. So in this, I don't think it's, hey, you're going to go out there and earn anything, put the light on God for anything that he's done for me. It's more like, what am I doing to then put the focus on God? It's how I read that.
Yeah.
I got you.
And we're trying to pull modern day truths out of a specific example of Job, but I think it all applies, right? And that's what we're looking to do is how does it apply to us? But that caught me kind of immediately. Can a man be profitable to God? I saw that statement. I was like, that's a good discussion point.
I could see like where the devil would say that, right? Like if he were, kind of like when him and God were having the conversation at the beginning of like, well, you're only blessing him because, he's only praising you because you blessed him.
Right.
Like you're profitable to him and you take that away.
Absolutely.
And now he'll curse you to your face, right?
Yeah.
But that's not, he's not speaking here, right?
Right.
So,
And it also, Satan's going to twist God's words to try and confuse us. We talked about it in the Garden of Eden when he's tempting Eve. Is that really what God said? Did he really say that?
Surely he'll kill you.
He wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
And trying to twist that. And
when Satan was
with
Jesus
it
as
makes
well,
sense. When
he took him out.
Being tempted.
Throw you over the cliff.
There's 10,000 angels that are going to come before you strike your foot on a rock. Like, you're good. Don't worry about it.
It's like Zach was saying. It's just a little bit of truth.
Little truth.
A little bit of
It
truth
makes
and
it
everything.
sound
It does.
a lot of truth. It makes it sound like it's a lot of truth.
We've talked about that before, like churches and religions that kind of
to people
cater to people.
Don't know the word. And you give them, I've heard that. That sounds right.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds good. That sounds good.
That's something God would say.
Yeah,
That's something God would do.
Yeah.
Here's my money. That's what I feel like what those churches do.
Well, we know what we know what he's been watching on TV.
Take my money.
You ain't taking my money.
Not a lot on late at night.
You watching a little over there?
No. Far away from him.
He said his name, Zach. He said his name, man. He might come after.
His name, you might have to you owe money now just because you said it.
That will not make the air.
Oh, man.
I'm going to leave that one
We'll have
alone.
cameras here and everything, man.
Oh, my goodness.
Might make some outtakes, but that will be bleeped out.
I think everybody will pick up on what we're saying. Probably.
Right. I have to see what the editing looks like on that little
Working magic over there.
Only use 2 words. Oh, okay.
Oh, that was good.
I like that question. That was a good one.
That is. I mean, that it does. That's
Eliphaz is still accusing Job, and he's saying, Job, your wickedness is great and abundant in this. But that first opening salvo there kind of caught my attention.
Mm-hmm.
He goes on to continue his attack, maybe. I mean, I feel like it's kind of the 3 guys have kind of turned into attack mode here against Job. At first it seemed more like healthy criticism and, hey, we want to get you right. Mm-hmm. You're our friend, all this kind of stuff. And now it's kind of the more Job stood up to defend himself, the more these guys are turning. We've used the word accusatory a lot, but it's kind of attack mode.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like some of I'm sure you're going to get to some of these verses, but it's, for him to be talking about things that he hasn't done, giving food or clothes or being kind to widows and orphans. I always go back to like, you don't know what happens behind closed doors, right? Like you give out of your heart, and some seen, some unseen. Right. But like for you to think that this is why I'm being cursed because I haven't done any of this, like
right?
Yeah, that's tough for friends to say.
And I think probably as far as how it turned from kind of them trying to teach Job or whatever, and how it's kind of turned into like accusatory or anger is because of the way that Job has kind of come back in his rebuttal to them, making them all feel like below him. And I think that is kind of made them angry to where they're trying to, poke at him because they feel like he's poking at them, I guess.
I have a friend who told a story a long time ago about he worked out every day. He would go to the YMCA and work out. And there was a guy there every day. They were cordial. And the guy was an atheist, but knew the Bible, like had large portions memorized, knew the Bible and stuff. And as they talked, he found out, well, you're a Christian, I'm an atheist. Here's why I think you're wrong, Christian, and would give him example. He said, doesn't the Bible say this? And give him an example. And my friend would answer back with another Bible, much like the story of Jesus being tempted. He said, well, yeah, but that's not what that means. Here's another verse to back this up. And he said that guy, when he would give him an answer like that, he said that guy would get so angry and just face turn red and stomp his feet or hit the top of the desk or something and storm out.
That's my biggest fear right there. Somebody not a believer that knows more than me. Yeah.
He said, and he did say, there was some time he would ask a question. He may not know the answer. He said, hey, let me go read on that. That's a good point. Let me go check it out. Come back the next time, and he would bring that. Well, here's what I found. And he said, anytime he answered with truth,
something else.
That guy would continue, but he said he would get so mad, and you could tell that the truth had won, but that guy was not going to accept it.
Yeah.
And he was just going to be mad because he didn't have a rebuttal in that moment.
Yeah.
And he's would just shut down and be like, well, you're wrong because you're wrong. Kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, Lori was the same way when she started working for Sarah Cannon. There was a guy there that was like a Buddhist or Islam. I'm not really sure, but knew this front and back.
It's learning your enemy. That's how they see it.
Yeah, and Lori was always, at first, she'll tell you that she was kind of intimidated a little to get into a conversation with him because what if he pulls something out that she didn't know? So that kind of prevented her in the beginning on, approaching them or anything like that. So yeah, I think that's a fear for us all. Obviously it's the devil.
I think the way he handled it was great. That's an interesting point. I'm going to read on that. Let me look that up. We are not going to know everything about any subject. You're not going to know and you can sit there and try and fake your way through it.
Fake it till you make it.
People know that. And if you just say, "Man, that's an interest," I'm going to study on that. And I'm going to check that out.
Right.
It kind of takes away all the insecurity and the nervousness and stuff. Just say,
it's okay to say I don't know.
It's okay to say I don't know.
Right.
We say it about other stuff without fear. You can say, I don't know. That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing this, right? And going through this to ask questions, and sometimes we don't come up with an answer, but it gives us more to think about, more to look up and whatnot.
Definitely.
But Eliphaz does accuse Job, like Zach said, of not giving water to the weary, you're withholding bread from the hungry, you're not doing all these things that you should be doing. Verse number 13, but you say, Eliphaz is accusing Job, you say, what does God know? Can he judge through the deep darkness? Now he's kind of putting it back on Job. If you're questioning God, so we know you're not walking like you should because we hear you're openly questioning God. And what does God know? Will you keep to the old way that wicked men have trod?
That's tough right there.
Wow.
So he again just accused, bringing up you're wicked. You are a wicked person doing wicked things, following a wicked path that others have done. Continuing on those wicked ways. The wicked path, verse 17, they say to God, that's the wicked people, depart from us, and what can the Almighty do to us? Yet he filled their houses with good things because the counsel of the wicked is far from me. Agree with God and be at peace. That is backhand, forehand, backhand volley right there.
Tit for tat.
He goes on, he wraps up his argument. Verse 22, receive instruction from his mouth, receive instruction from God's mouth, and lay up his words in your heart. If you return to the Almighty, you will be built up, if you remove injustice far from your tents, if you lay gold in the dust or gold of Ophir. Ryan, what you got besides a yawn over there?
Sorry.
Putting you to sleep?
No.
We can be quiet if we need
No,
to.
you're not putting me to sleep, I promise. I would say Ophir.
Ophir.
That's what I'm thinking. I don't have that one yet.
If I would have paid attention to that, I would have looked that up. It's going to be a question. I'm going to make a mark. I don't know. I'm going to look that up. That's a good point.
Make sure you bring that back next week.
Yeah. So you lay the gold of Ophir among the stones of the torrent bed. Then the Almighty will be your gold and your precious silver. For then you will delight yourself in the Almighty and lift up your face to God. Quit following the ways of the world, Job. Lay down all your gold. Lay down all the temporary stuff. Focus on God.
See, bits of truth there.
Bits of truth. Yeah, bits of truth. It sounds good. It sounds right. But it ain't. You will make your prayer to him. Verse 27. You will make your prayer to him, and he will hear you, and you will pay your vows. You will decide on a matter, and it will be established for you, and light will shine on your ways. So, yeah, the bits of truth. Here's what. Focus on God. Don't focus on the temporary things of this world. Don't chase wealth. Don't chase all that stuff. Chase God. He's going to shine on you and bless your way.
That sounds good.
Sounds great. Sounds great.
If he would backed off the first 20 verses.
Shorten that chapter down to like 3 verses and you'd be all right.
Yeah. So it's Ophir.
Ophir?
Yep. The pronunciation spelling is AAFTH-ER. Ophir.
Thanks for throwing in the dash.
That
Might have been lost without that one.
Yep. Just keeping it 100 over here.
No, that's good, though. Ophir.
It's very accurate, right?
You're welcome.
Did you say 100?
Keeping it 100 over here.
No, I don't think you said 1, though. I think you just said...
I said keeping it 100. There's a in the front of there. I
another
promise
dash.
you that.
There's another dash there.
A-100. I could have said hundo.
You're just trying to
I think
catch
that would have
up
made it
on
worse.
the outtakes. You're just
The
trying to catch up on
outtakes,
that.
maybe.
Trying to run them up tonight.
Maybe.
There's an in front of a lot of words in Tennessee.
And not to keep a pause there. What?
But I wonder why Ophir was important. Like, was that a rich city, or were they famous for supplying gold? I don't know.
No.
Get back to us on that one.
Yes.
Check that out, Ryan. Or are you just going to drop a nugget and run out?
Maybe.
Okay,
He's on it.
he's on it. Hey, he
on it.
he gave us the
He did.
correct pronunciation.
Is a port
dashes and
or
all.
region mentioned in the Bible famous for its wealth. King Solomon received a shipment from Ophir every 3 years. That was in 1 Kings 10:22, which consisted of gold, silver, sandalwood, pearls, ivory, apes, and peacocks.
That took a turn. I was waiting to see what came after apes. But, okay.
Well, that's why I had like apes. Okay, and peacocks. That's what I got so far.
I mean, there's an answer.
Yep, there you go.
And he brought it from the Bible.
Yep.
So it has at least a touch of truth in it. He might be telling us something like Zophar.
Far over here.
That's from Wikipedia. Now that I'm looking, so that might be wrong. I don't know.
Hey,
Someone
now.
might need to double check that.
Hey, now.
Eliphaz, he dropped the mic on that one. He ran out, and Job replies again. Chapter 23. We're making it, boys. Chapter 23. Job comes back today. Also, my complaint is bitter. So that's what I was saying earlier. And I don't know if that's just a tongue-in-cheek today, or if that's did they sleep on it?
Right.
Did Eliphaz shut the day down with that argument, and they come back the next day, and Job is, today, I'm bitter.
Yeah.
Today, my complaint is bigger.
Yeah.
Is that a literal day, or is that just a
I got
figure of speech?
I got you.
I have no answer for that, but that adds a time element,
Yeah.
at least a one-word descriptor of time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's interesting that it says today, right? I mean,
And I wish I had more on that, but
another. I'll get back to you.
maybe, yeah.
Your list is getting long.
No, I mean,
I can't find that answer that quick. Sorry, guys.
Ryan took the other one off my list. But I had that highlighted.
More time digging this one.
of a time factor. When I read that, I said, "Hey, there's a statement of time. Today, my complaint is bitter."
Yeah.
I think somewhere back of several chapters, we had another time element that we hadn't had. We made the comment at the time, but
Well, wasn't it for the how long did all these things happen to them?
no, this was once they were in their arguments.
Oh, okay, yeah.
This was once they were in their
I
arguments.
know you're talking about now. Okay.
And I don't remember the verse. Go look it up on one of the other first 5 episodes. But not a lot of time elements in the book of Job.
No.
For how long this part went on, the back and forth between friends. And it only gets more muddy going forward some chapters here. But today my complaint is bitter. Today also my complaint is bitter. What's your say? Chapter 23.
Chapter 23, it says, today also my complaint is bitter. Yeah. It says today also.
Yeah, that's what today also makes it sound more like a...
I mean, all of his days have been bitter.
Yeah, that's very true.
But
to me, that just...
But yeah,
the way it's worded makes it seem like it's a different day.
Yeah.
But we'll continue with Job's response here. Chapter 23, today also my complaint is bitter. My hand is heavy on account of my groaning. Oh, that I knew where I might find him, that I might come even to his seat. I would lay my case before him and fill my mouth with arguments. I would know what he would answer me and understand what he would say to me. So that's Job talking about God, that I knew where I might find God, that I could come to his seat. I would lay my case before God. He would fill my mouth with arguments, and I know that God would answer me. So Job is searching for God here a little bit in this reply to Eliphaz. I mean, I would be searching for God a lot if I was Job, and he has, but he stuck close with him, but because all these arguments from his friends have to chip away a little bit.
100%.
Maybe they're right.
Yeah.
Maybe they.
It's all against him.
Especially if they're all have the same tone.
Yeah.
Saying the same general things, that he's done something wrong, and that's the cause of it.
And Job, we kind of get the insight to Job to see his real-time argument, or the fight going on in his own mind of, where is God? I wish I knew where he was. I wish I could talk to him, and he would answer me. And then skip down a little bit, verse number 11. My foot has held fast to his steps. I have kept his way and have not turned aside. I have not departed from the commandment of his lips. I've treasured the words of his mouth more than my portion of food. But he is unchangeable, and who can turn him back?
For those verses, it almost, I don't say it sounded defeated, but it sounded like that he was at least pondering what his 3 comrades had said, and like maybe they're right,
yeah.
And that I've done something to warrant this. It just seems like the tone has somewhat changed here,
right?
Of like, now I'm going to be searching out God, when before I've been living a blameless life. I'm God fearing, and now it's almost, there's some hesitation now.
Right.
Yeah.
He does say, my foot has held fast to his steps, kind of trying to answer the doubt in his mind of, man, I know I've been walking with him, right?
Yeah.
Like, I know I've been following him. But verse 13 kind of stood out to me as well. But he is unchangeable. But God is unchangeable, and who can turn him back? What he desires, that he does. God is not changing. Nothing's going to change his foot. There's no no being, no influence, no nothing that is capable of making God change his path. And that kind of was seal the deal. Like, there we go. Last word, it's about God. Yeah. I'm good.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to follow. Forget you other bums bringing me down over here.
That definitely changes from what he's said in his other replies and stuff as well, just like Zach said.
Yeah.
And he just keeps on. Job continues and keeps on for the rest of chapter 23, chapter 24. He just continues to give example after example of, the greatness of God, God's power, how big He is, how mighty, and nothing on earth is capable of approaching Him or making Him change what He wants to do. Chapter 24, Job gives examples of really people doing bad things again. So he's saying, chapter 23, he's like, God is unchangeable. I'm going to follow God. My foot has held fast to His steps, is going to hold fast. But he kind of backs up again to say, here's examples, backs up to his previous argument of these are evil people doing evil things. Mm-hmm. So chapter 24, he's listing some of those out. Why are not times of judgment kept by God? So why is God not judging and sending judgment for people who do things wrong here on earth? Some move landmarks. This is chapter 24, verse 2. Some move landmarks. They seize flocks, so they're stealing livestock, stealing things away. They drive away the donkey of the fatherless, so someone who has lost his father trying to take care of the family. They drive away the donkey. They take the widow's ox. He's giving all these examples, and he continues, they like wild donkeys in the desert, the poor go out to their toil, seeking game. The wastelands yield food for their children. So all these earthly examples of suffering. And then down in verse 12, he wraps it up by saying, yet God charges no one with wrong. All these things evil people are doing, wicked people are doing, not following God, stealing, whatever they have to do to better themselves on earth, but God is not charging them with wrong.
And I've got a summary to sorry, Fauna.
No, you go. You're good.
It was on this chapter, it says, I'm just going to read it. It just says, Job continues to lament the fact that it seems like God doesn't punish the wicked, and in fact, that God allows the vulnerable to suffer at the hands of the wicked. If one simply looks at the world, it appears if God ignores and overlooks suffering. Just because Job trusts God, that doesn't mean he understands all of God's ways. And so I think about that of like, there's bad people that seem to be in high places that we don't understand today, but this whole book to me has to deal with faith, and we don't understand all the reasons that God does certain things. And at the end of the day, we've just got to trust that He knows more than me. And I think that's what Job, will find at the end of this, that he's okay knowing that I don't have all the answers, and he's not going to have them all. But then God tells him all the answers at the end that he's looking for. So
yeah. And in the middle, all throughout, he's like to me, it goes like when we went from chapter 23 and verse 13, when he says, who can oppose him?
Who can oppose God?
Who can oppose God? But then 24 verse 12, it says, yet God pays no attention to this crime. It's like
That's a good way to state that.
It's like I don't know, it's like he's saying that no one can oppose God, but then he kind of shifts and almost seems like he's opposing God by questioning him, I guess.
Well, he pays for that later.
Right.
Like he's got to atone for those.
Yes,
he still believes.
It's just like a roller coaster.
It's not fair because, God, I'm following you and I'm being punished.
Right.
These other people don't follow you and they do terrible things.
Right.
But they're not being punished.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
Right. But I know that you're not changeable.
Yeah.
but it's It's,
well, and it goes back to the
worldly
things, right? Like you may have it all here, but I'm going to have it later.
Right.
You see that.
Yeah.
This may be a terrible example, but maybe not.
Here we go.
But you were saying, not understanding God's ways, and we just got to trust He knows more than I do. Zach deals with the stock market.
Uh-oh.
Some people are totally confused, right? If I give Zach $3 and say, here, Zach, I'm going to give you $3 to invest in the stock market for me.
Make that $3 million.
Yeah, make that.
Hurry up, by tomorrow.
I give you $5. But I have to trust that Zach knows more about the stock market than I do. He knows how it works. He knows good investments, bad investments, all this kind of stuff that I don't know. And I can try and fumble my way through it and do it, but I'm never going to know as much as Zach knows.
You should have used a better example like Bitcoin that none of us know anything about.
Goodness.
I didn't say you knew it all. You know more than I do.
So.
So.
Well, it's debatable.
Yeah, well, about the stock market.
There it is. There's the layup.
Chapter 24, Job is going through all these things. These wicked people are prospering. He doesn't understand, doesn't agree with it. Why am I being held more accountable than they are? And he sums it up at the end. And I think this is more towards the friends than to God, the way I read it. But verse 25 of chapter 24, if it is not so, who will prove me a liar and show that there is nothing in what I say? Mm-hmm. If all these things aren't true, prove me wrong. Mm-hmm. Who's going to do it?
Yeah.
Here we go, Bildad.
Bildad's going to do it.
Speak up.
in a couple short verses. You're going to try.
Can I speak? That's I feel like what he says right here.
So Bildad is a cleanup hitter. He's the last man on
Steps
deck
up.
For the three friends. This is the last we will hear of the three
Oh.
friends for the rest of the book of Job. So,
He doesn't have much to say.
Chapter 25. We made it, boys. Chapter 25. We're going to read the whole thing.
All 6.
This is Bildad. We'll start in verse 2. Dominion and fear are with God. He makes peace in his high heaven. Is there any number to his armies? Upon whom does his light not arise? How then can man be in the right before God? How can he who is born of woman be pure? Behold, even the moon is not bright, and the stars are not pure in his eyes. How much less man, who is a maggot, and the son of man, who is a worm. That's the parting shot from the three friends. That's it. And again, some of that sounds like
a little bit of truth.
Sounds like truth. That sounds like a godly thing.
Yeah.
And then, some of us like, don't know if I get on board with that one. But
yeah.
Well, in here, it's just specific to being, light and dark, right? And, we can go back to in the garden, right? We know that right then sin entered in and everybody's got sin in them, right? But that doesn't come out in these 6 verses right here. It's just you either are in the light or you're in the dark. There's no in between. And
to me, it's kind of like, however long this has gone on between these 4 guys, this is kind of like, all right, Job, like you ain't hearing what we're saying. We think you're wrong. Here's my last little bit. We're gone. We're out.
Yeah.
Catch you on the flip side.
Like
About time.
Bildad stops talking and they go to bed. And then Job kind of gets a good night's rest before he goes after him for 4 chapters, or
I don't know.
What do you think? Because that was kind of a short
His
reply
Wheaties that morning.
Kind of a short reply from Bildad.
It was.
I think Job kind of says, "Okay,
I'm
about to."
Going to unleash on you for 20 more chapters.
Unleash on him for a good 4 chapters.
Job's about to let loose, which that'll be next episode. Right. We'll cover all
think
that.
He gets a good night's rest before he lets loose.
You think it's short because he's like, stop talking. I'm about to interrupt you, and we're going to town on this.
I mean, to me,
I'm interrupting you.
It looks like the give up argument. Like, all right, hey man, we've been here for.
We've been going round and round for a while.
I don't know how long.
Yeah.
7 days in silence, and then however many days or hours or whatever of non-silence.
Right.
And it's kind of like the show. All right, man, this ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
See, we got a long journey home.
Yeah.
I'm out.
You're not hearing us. We're obviously not concerned with what you're saying either.
So, agree to disagree.
Because this is a change in the book of Job here. This, when chapter 25 ends, it flips of the what has been happening of friend speaks, Job replies. Different friend speaks, Job replies. Now it's Job gets long-winded for a while, and then we have a new character that comes in, and then we hear from God himself, to wrap it all up.
Been waiting.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah. I mean, that's very brief cliff notes there, but it gets interesting
for sure
later in the road. And, God and Job have a conversation, which, man, let's get there. But we ain't there yet. But, but that wraps it up. Chapter 25, we made it. But one last point here. I had one more question.
All right.
Verse 6.
Ron, you're up to bat.
Chapter 25, verse 6. I underlined these because I was like, it sounds different to me. How much? So he's saying, the moon's not bright, stars are not pure in God's eyes. How much less is a man who is a maggot? How much less valuable man and the son of man who is a worm? What's the difference? How much less man who is a maggot and the son of man who is a worm?
I think it's just ranking high, priority, right? Like a maggot versus a worm.
But I'm talking about the man part. So it said, how much less man.
Who's better of the worst?
What's the difference between man and son of man? Is my question, I guess. Verse 6. It's two different arguments, two different examples, two different comparisons. Because Bildad is saying
how much less
these things don't stack up to God. The moon does not stack up to God. The stars do not stack up to God. The stars are not pure in God's eyes. How much less pure is man, who is a maggot, and the son of man, who is a worm? That makes two different distinctions there of man and son of man.
Fano, do you have cliff notes on the bottom? Like I've got where it's got a maggot. It comes through as like him on the throne.
Okay.
But I don't have one for like the worm.
No, I don't have one for the man. I have a son of man that just says, or a mere mortal.
Okay, maybe it's just an example. I think
it's just another word for
moon
human.
And stars. Kind of are the same but different.
Yeah,
man and a mere mortal. Maybe that's an answer.
I think that's just what it says. So I guess we can.
I trust your version over there.
I appreciate it.
Shanks.
Tony Evans. I good. I asked Lori. I was like, "Is Tony Evans still good?" I was like,
things fall in and out of favor these days.
I know. That's why I told her. I was like, "You need to tell me if he's not good," because I'm toting around his Bible, and I'm on this podcast. I'm quoting his footnotes. So you need to tell me if he ain't good. You need to let me know. She said he's still good though. So.
And Ron's over here quoting Wikipedia. I mean,
hey, it was a great quote.
What did we say? Quote. A little bit of truth. You
never know.
Hey, full circle.
Hey now.
But next week, episode 7 of this series, I think, we get into Job, and he does have a lengthy reply, and he goes into a lot of different things. Godly things for him, and all kinds of this, the rabbit hole arguments. And then he kind of gets down there to chapter 31 and the title, Job's Final Appeal. Job's Final Appeal. And that's, chapter 25, when that ends, is where we shift into another setup here. But Job with a lengthy reply, and then we get a new guest, a new character comes on the screen there.
Cliffhanger.
Good times are coming.
That's right.
Good times are coming. So maybe 3 more episodes, I think. Maybe 3 more episodes, and would have made it through the book of Job.
Yeah,
it's been good.
It's been good.
A little dry maybe at times, because we're trying to figure it out too. But I still think it's been a good journey.
I know it's helped me. I mean, I had to dive deeper into it. I mean, I knew the big picture, but
but I've enjoyed it because you're saying there's spots that are dry in and everything, and we're like kind of jumping around. How many times do you probably think you go through it and you're like, all right, well, that part I don't want to read it. We're just going to go completely past it.
Yeah.
Now that we're digging in it and maybe people are interested because we're putting different perspective to it and everything. So I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Sure.
And it raises more questions, right? Like we're talking about time and stuff. And that's some of the things that we're not going to know. We can go read some commentaries and go see different things, but that's just people studying and giving their best guess at the same time. So, but that's where the faith takes over, and you're just like, hey, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
If that's the biggest question I have.
Yeah,
I'll
for
make
sure.
It.
I'll live. Think I'll live. Yeah.
Fano, send us home.
All right. This is coming from Psalm 109, 30 and 31. Just a good reminder and a good promise. So it says, I will fervently thank the Lord with my mouth. I will praise him in the presence of many, for he stands at the right hand of the needy to save him from those who would condemn him. So
that's not a sprinkle of truth. That's all truth right there.
All truth.
Take it to the bank.
This
We're glad you're here. We hope you're going on this journey with us, and we hope you finish it out with us. Maybe 3 more episodes. That's my prediction. We got 3 more. Yeah. Got a lot of work to do next week, though. Whew.
Got to plow through next week.
Gonna have to plow through. Gonna have to hit some highlights.
I mean, we got 42 total.
Yeah.
Do but 5 really, next week. We'll be at 30.
It's really broken into the next several chapters of Job speaking.
Then the new character.
And then the new guy.
Yeah.
And then God finishes up.
Yeah.
So we'll probably take our time with that one. But that's the shortest chapter-wise of the last 3 little bookmarks here.
Yeah. Get the maybe like 32 next week, maybe 25 to 32. We'll see.
We can do it.
I have faith in you.
Deal.
Yeah, we go.
We'll see if Zach's here or not. I don't know. Maybe Amanda will be here next week.
Y'all go get some heavy hitters. Quit scraping the bottom of the barrel over here.
That might be a good one. Amanda comes in and wraps it up for us with Job. That might be a good one.
Tag teaming with Lori. Get him in there.
Lori said she'd have to study.
Well,
that's how intense she would bring it.
I try to be mindful of family situations as well. It's hard to have Fano and Lori here because they have young kids.
It's all good. We
could
arrange it.
We can arrange it, but I still try and be mindful.
It'd be good to have that womanly.
Don't look at me.
I mean, if you want it, I'll ask her.
Woman perspective. We can make arrangements. So. Have Lori and Amanda here for.
Bam. All right.
For some knowledge.
We'll see if we can get the ladies in next week. And if they are not here, I got rejected. So. There we go.
And they just didn't trust us with our own kids.
They both come with those binders, man.
Oh, they're gonna have handouts. They're gonna have handouts
and everything.
They're gonna give you PowerPoints to have up on the screen.
Man. And then Barkley stuff they're gonna dive deep into it.
Hey, that's what we want.
Yes.
So we hope you go on that journey with us, whether the ladies are here or not. We'll have somebody here. Somebody will be here, and you already know we love you. God loves you more. See you next week.
Thanks for listening to GPS to God. Make sure you leave a rating or review on whichever app you happen to use. Also find us on YouTube and be sure to subscribe to our channel.